Hey everybody, John DeYoung here, and today I want to give you a rundown on my experience and current healing process from traveling to Istanbul, Turkey for a hair transplant procedure, okay? I also want to give you a few really important key things you can do to make your procedure a success. So, getting a hair transplant really wasn't something that I was seriously considering because on the Norwood scale, as you can see here, I was about a 3. And I really only noticed the crown loss of hair, maybe a little in my temporal lobes, but temporal areas. But I didn't really think it was much, but my wife did. So she put the idea of affordable hair transplant surgery out there, and that we could also make it like a mini vacation as well in a really gorgeous historical city. And since in Istanbul and Turkey, that they use the same method that they use here in the United States called the FUE method, which is the best way that everyone's doing the FUE method now. And in Turkey, it's a fraction of the cost. So this seemed like a no-brainer to me. So I said, okay. So she did a bunch of price shopping on WhatsApp, Reddit forums, Facebook groups. You know, she went through a bunch of those and she found a bunch of clinics that kept coming up and different ones with different price points. Now, I'm not sure where you live, but we live in Los Angeles, and the average cost of about a 4,000 hair graft transplant is between $35,000 to about $40,000. Now, that's not a possibility for me, and if it was, I would not put that money. If I could afford it, I don't think I would put it into a hair transplant. But for the price that we're getting in Turkey, it's a different story. We found somebody called the Real Hair Center. I'll put that at the bottom of the screen and their WhatsApp number. They were really low. It cost me $1,900, which is incredible. The concierge is Mustafa. He's excellent. Basically, almost all your transportation is included. So this is a 4,000 graft transplant, $1,900 US. Transportation was included with airport pickup, and they drop you off at the hotel. Then they pick you up from the hotel to the facility. Then they do the procedure, bring you back to your hotel. And then 3 days later, they pick you up again back to the facility for your first wash or your rinse over, and then back to your hotel. And then whenever you're ready to leave, they give you all the instructions, which we'll cover. Anytime you want to leave, we stayed another 4 days for touring. They picked me up from my hotel and brought me to the airport. Again, that was all included in the transportation. So I thought that was really cool. By the way, my flights going home, looked like I saw some people who literally left the same day or the next day after the procedure. We stayed an extra few days, but something you could do if you want to just get in and get out, you know, as little cost as possible, totally. Same day or else that next morning you could fly back. You could see it. I think it's called Turkish Airlines. I think it's pretty hilarious. And we don't have any problems. So we flew from LAX. There's a direct flight from LAX to Istanbul. Again, Turkish Airlines, great. Again, it was $1,500 for my ticket. That was a round trip, and that included extra legroom, which I definitely suggest getting. A 13-hour flight, you also may want to have some sleep aids with you. That helped, for sure. And again, don't worry about getting into a taxi. The concierge for the hair transplant facility is there to pick you up at the airport. They also act as a translator for the doctor and the staff. Not everybody speaks English there. Also, you want to use Google Translate. Everybody uses it. It's fantastic. So also we stayed at a really good hotel. It was a little boutique hotel called Galatas Hotel. It was $135 a night. It's right in the Kadıköy area of Istanbul, walking distance to pretty much all the major sites. Lots of good food around there. So again, you could find cheap hotels if you want to stay, okay? So after arriving, again, 3 days of touring, it was time for the procedure. So they pick you up, we get there, they shave my head, put an IV in of saline, maintain hydration, also to ensure my stability during the procedure. And these fluids also help maintain proper blood pressure and electrolytes. So the IV, piece of cake. All right, so here we go. I also first suggest putting in an earbud. They don't want you to have headphones on. They want to be able to talk to you, see how you're doing. But some music, a podcast, get some distraction from the sound. It's less snapping. It's kind of gross. But again, it's really long in the chair, so I recommend a little earbud, listen to some music, okay? So there's going to be a little pain now. They're going to numb your donor section. That's the first step. They have to anesthetize the donor section. So it's pretty much the whole back of your head, almost from ear to ear. A lot of injections of local anesthesia, not fun, pinch and burn. They'd almost send me out the door, to be honest with you, but I didn't want to look like a big baby. Plus, I'm in Turkey. What are you going to do? So, yeah, not pleasant, but you can get through it because the payoff is great. Once they do, it takes her about, again, 2-3 hours of taking the donor area, and they set up those implants. The staff is there, so while the doctor's taking them out, they're setting up, getting ready for the implant. So that's not too bad. It's going to be a little more pain because now they have to put the implants in. So there's going to be some pain. The temporal area was definitely a little painful. There's a lot of more injections on each area. But if you can get through that, then it's literally pain-free after that. Once they start putting in the implants, and also when they numb the back area for the donor section, they actually, which I didn't notice, was numbing my crown as well. So we didn't have to go to numb the crown again. So thank God. But I will say the temporal area was a little painful. But the implantation, you could just chill. It's really boom, 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 boom. It's 3 to 4 hours of them just back and forth with these pens, like handing it to the assistants and putting them in. That's really painless. The implantation was great. So you're done after that. So we're looking at 6-7 hours. You're there all day. They give you a meal. You're probably starving. And then they drive you back to your hotel. And then you're on your own for a few days before they do the first wash. So I will say when I got back to the hotel, when the anesthesia wore off, it was a rager headache. So they give you acetaminophen, which I definitely took for a couple of days. And they give you Ciflox and Corspin. One's antibiotic and one is for clotting. Okay, so, it is tricky. You have to sleep sitting up. You can't lay on the donor sections. The first 7 days are really important for those implants to take. So prop yourself up with pillows. If you have a lazy boy chair, some kind of chair you can sit in with pillows. I use the little neck supports in the airplane. That kind of helped a lot. I did feel it on the donor section, but it's really important to take care of those implants. Okay, so sleeping upright was not a lot of fun. No pain in the implant area, but the pain in the donor section was not fun either. So again, it's really worth it because we're talking about a couple of days here and it's not that bad. So 2-3 days after, they're going to pick you up. They're going to do your first wash at the hair clinic. A doctor or the assistant's going to show you how to do it. They first run some lukewarm water over the donor section and release the gauze bandages. I will tell you that was kind of painful. It was short-lived pain, but the scabbing attached to the gauze kind of bled a little bit. As little gauze as they can use, if maybe before you leave during the procedure, say as minimal as you can, because I kind of had a big gauze thing, and I know you protect it from getting infected, but as minimal gauze as you can do, because when they peel that off, it's gonna reopen the scabs, and that kind of sucked. Set me back another day or two in the healing. So maybe talk to the doctor, stop the bleeding before you leave that first day, and say, look, as little gauze as you can do, because that I would change something. I would not let them use so much gauze, okay? So back to the wash now. There's a foam that is applied. They put the foam in there. They just kind of, it's not massage, it's pressed or patted down into your hair. They let the foam sit there for about 10 minutes. Then they rinse it. They rinse the hair. Then they have a shampoo, a special shampoo that they're going to give you the foam and the shampoo to take with you. So they'll supply that. But again, even the shampoo is just patted in your hair, and then it's a rinse with water, a bowl rinse. So there's no direct pressure. Water is lukewarm. Those first 5 to 7 days, no showers. Again, just a pour over with the foam and the shampoo. It's really important to get those grafts to take. Okay. You can also I used a saline spray, kind of helped with the healing. Salt water kind of helps with healing and also from drying and flaking. You will see these crusts start to form. The crusts are good. You got to leave them there for a while. They kind of surround the implant and the follicle. So it's good to leave the crusts alone. But then there's a period of around the 10 to 12 days where the crusts start coming out, and you can start massaging them when you do your hair and your shampoo and wash, okay? So remember, you're going to be doing your own hair for the first 7 days, twice a day. Again, just patting the foam in, letting it sit, and then patting the shampoo in and do the rinse, okay? It's only around the 10th day that you can really start getting in there with a little time of rubbing and massaging. So you'll get those instructions from your doctor. But I just want to tell you certain things that you can do. The saline spray, my doctor didn't recommend that. I found out about that. I looked it up, and that really made a difference. It really helped with itching and really nurtured the scalp. It felt really good. Okay. So another important thing is to know that your grafts are going to start to grow, and after about 5, 6, 7 days, they're going to start to fall out as well. The follicles will be fine, so don't sweat that, but you're going to lose that hair. And lastly, I think it's really super important is that the hair transplant replaces your lost hair. However, it won't prevent ongoing hair loss. Supplementary medicines like finasteride and minoxidil are designed for that purpose because the native hairs around your new hair grafts are vulnerable to the hormones and androgen receptors that lead to male pattern baldness. And they're still vulnerable, so I do take both of those medications once a day. 1 milligram. I take them, I have no side effects. Some people have a loss of libido, but I think you'll be fine. And if you do, then you can go off it. And I like the pill form. I got the pills from my doctor. Your general practitioner can prescribe them. I don't want to use the creams. Don't use both. Sometimes they could be a little too much, okay? So here's a bunch of my photos from progression from day one. I can also show you the donor section. It looks like a slice of pizza. So let's look at all those photos leading up to today at 5 months, and then we'll look at my head a little closer. Okay, so here's surgery day. As you can see, there is a lot of gauze on the back of my head. Again, if you can get a little less gauze, that would be great. Now, here's the donor section. It's very raw. That is actually right after they washed my head, so that's about 3 days later. That's probably the hardest recovery is the donor section. And 3 days there, you can see actual hair starting to grow in now. And on day 5, starting to form some crusties, as you can see right there. Those are important, part of the healing process. Now we're at day 20, starting to shed. As you can see now, the implantations are starting to fall out. The redness, each person has different redness. Mine kind of lasted a long time, but here at day 25, it's starting to fade, but I'm also shedding out. There's day 26. That's a lot of shedding. Don't let it freak you out. That's why I think it's a really good idea to use a buzz cut. Your hairs will look a lot less shaggy. Again, you're going to have a lot of hair loss. There it is. The implantations are really coming out now. Again, the follicles are safe, so don't worry about that. We're coming up on day 58. The crown is still shedding. The crown seemed to take the longest, and the temporal area, the redness, took the longest to go away from me. So we're at 73 days right here. The crown is still pretty bald. It's only starting to now, about the 5-month period, fill in. Now, here we are, 15 weeks, starting to fill in. And then the temporal area is starting to fill in. Here we are at 19 weeks. Okay, so there's me at 5 months. Oh, by the way, the grafts are all going to grow at a different rate. So it's going to look a little muddled and a little hodgepodge. So I actually like to do the buzz cut. I've been doing the buzz cut since day one. And I felt that it gives you a little more conformity, a little more, it doesn't look so bad. You know, sometimes there was the hairline grew in, but then behind it didn't grow in. So until that started to grow in, it looked bad. So buzzing your hair is kind of a nice way to not draw so much attention to it, all right? It looks a little more even, okay? And also you can start using the aloe vera gel. I use that for my scalp. Sometimes I feel it's a little dry. And really for that donor area, just that kind of seemed like they had the most trauma, the donor section. So take care of that, okay, for scalp health. Okie dokie. So this is me 5 months. Again, they say up to 10 months to 12 months to really know what your hair is going to look like. So this is me at 5 months. That's my gray hair. Okay, I do have a little gray spot here, so it's not that bald right there. Again, I'm only 5 months. This is my hair. And the crown, I think the crown's looking pretty good. Okay. Again, 5 months, I'm halfway there. So this is pretty good if you saw that after looking at those photos, all right? So again, 10 to 12 months to really see what it's going to look like. I'll post another video for the next 5 months to up to 10 months, okay? If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And best of luck. and good luck with everything. I'll see you in a few months.